Okay, opening up for public comment, and there is a block for time that was requested by opposition.
Yes, there was. Organized opposition will now receive a 10-minute block of time. You will have a minimum of 3 speakers.
Excuse me, Commissioner Secretary. I believe that the Controller's Office was also here and wanted to have a couple minutes to address the Commission.
Oh, okay. I wasn't aware.
I don't see Mr. Egan here, but he was here earlier. Thank you, though.
Commissioners, Doug Eichman with Share Better San Francisco, Coalition of Affordable Housing, senior and disability activists, tenant groups, landlords, apartment owner associations, neighborhood groups who are, we can say we're opposed to the legislation. You have 3 different pieces of legislation. We like some things, particularly those in the Campos ordinance, but are opposed to other things in the other ordinances. Why are we here today? Everyone agrees that the law that was passed last year is unenforceable. And rather than talking in generalities, if I can just cite an example of somebody, I've used this, but I'll put it here, who lists off the Airbnb listing today, hey, I'm Carolyn. My husband and I own over a dozen properties in San Francisco, so you don't have to deal with a management company or agent. This is a business for us. We do not live in these apartments. We specialize in furnished short-term rentals. We deal with vendors who make sure our apartments are well-maintained and tenants get great customer service. All right, who is this person? Well, Google is wonderful. This person is Caroline Connor, and she runs a tech recruiting firm based in the Inner Sunset. Here's her phone number and address. If the Planning Commission and the Board of Supervisors had followed the Planning Department recommendation last year that all hosting platforms not list units that aren't registered with the city, these 3 units she's advertising right now would be available for permanent rental. They wouldn't be short-term rentals. But that didn't happen. We submitted this to planning last August. It's not hard to find this person. Nothing's happened. She still has taken off at least 3 units off the affordable housing market in San Francisco. The most important recommendation that you can follow is to require all hosting platforms to only list units that are registered with the city and county in San Francisco as short-term rentals. That's the most effective thing that you can do to get all of the bad actors off and out of San Francisco that are abusing the law. Airbnb could do this tomorrow. In fact, the signs that say protect home sharing, the easiest way to protect home sharing is to leave the real home sharers to do what they're going to do and for Airbnb to kick all the other people out. They have the data. They could do that tomorrow. But they refuse to do that and hide under home sharing to allow this kind of activity to go on. So you really do need to adopt that recommendation. I also want to point out a couple things that are not in the staff recommendation that are real problems that go to the enforceability. The Farrell-Lee legislation removes the address from the public record. So the first time in the history of city government, you're going to have somebody who gets a business license to have a commercial activity in a residential neighborhood without any information available to the public of who's doing it and where it's actually happening. So what's that's going to cause if somebody sees a problem? What they're going to do is call the city and say, is that legal or is that not legal? Because they can't check themselves. That's going to really discourage enforcement and complaints if you're going to have a complaint-driven process. And secondly, the Farrell legislation also removes the requirement that the city can go in and audit and see if you actually live there as a permanent resident. That's just opening up a can of worms. So you should reject those amendments from the Farrell legislation. Anyway, our next speaker is Sarah Short from the Tenants Group. Thank you very much.